in our mind is, what is this Ubuntu Linux, right? This is the symbol of Ubuntu Linux. Now, Linux actually is an operating system, and Ubuntu is also an operating system. Here you get two words, Ubuntu Linux. Both are individual operating system. Linux as well as Ubuntu are individual operating systems. And Ubuntu Linux operating system is the combination of Ubuntu operating system plus Linux kernel. Now many of the people in the world uses Linux operating system or Ubuntu operating system, but in your course, which the course is given from the Gujarat Education Board, you have got the operating system named Ubuntu Linux. Now in this chapter we are going to learn about Ubuntu Linux, and also going to get the introduction to some other operating systems such as Unix, GNU, Linux, Windows, Apple, etc. Now we start from here. Introduction to Unix operating system. Now the Unix operating system developed at AT&T Bell's laboratory at New Jersey. This was the first operating system which was developed, a free type of operating system. Before this also Windows was there, and this was developed at AT&T Bell's laboratory. You can see the image of AT&T Bell's laboratory. It's a very big building, and you can see this is the building part, and here what you can see is the car parking. Okay, so, and these are the roads. This is the another image of the same building, AT&T Bell's laboratory. Beautiful place, isn't it? Night time view of the same thing. From inside it looks like this way. This is the restaurant part of AT&T Bell's laboratory. Now the key persons involved in the development of Unix operating system were Ken Thompson, Dennis Ritchie, Brian Kernighan, Douglas McElroy, and Joe Osana. We will have a look at their images. First one is Ken Thompson. Dennis Ritchie. Dennis Ritchie is the person who designed the C language. In 10th standard you have got a programming language named C language. It was designed by Dennis Ritchie. Brian Kernighan, Douglas McElroy, and Joe Osana. These were the 5 people who developed Unix operating system. The people who developed Unix were originally working on a joint project with General Electric and MIT. You can see the symbol of General Electric logo or symbol, and you can see the logo of MIT. So these people were actually working on the joint project of General Electric and MIT. They were working to develop a large, ambitious, multi-user operating system called Multics. Multi-user means a number of users can use the operating system at the same time. At present it is not new for us, but in those days it was a new concept. Multics stands for Multiplexed Information and Computing Service. Though the project was very good, but it was not progressing as per the expectations. When AT&T decided to pull out the project, at that time Thomson, Dennis Ritchie and others decided to develop a smaller operating system. That fine, no problem if this system is taking too long, then we will design a small operating system. So Thomson had developed another thing. Thomson had developed a game called Space Travel while he was working on Multics project. He and his group gradually added the operating system ideas and finally developed a system called Unix. It supported only single user. Later, it developed and started supporting multiple users and came to be known as Unix operating system, Unix OS. First the spelling was UNICS and then it became UNIX. Now the key success factors. Why was this operating system successful? Now the reasons given here according to the textbook are: the Unix developers gave out the copies of Unix operating system with source code and online manuals. Therefore, soon many universities, government agencies and private companies started using Unix. Then handling devices and some specific kind of inter-process communication IPC is filed. Hierarchical file system. That was the first operating system developed in higher level language. It stored all configuration information in plain text files. At present also, you just try to remember whenever you want to install any program in your computer and you have brought that program in your pen drive, then you will get a text file named license or readme, or so many files are there. So those are text files which stores the configuration information in plain text. Then one more factor was employing a huge number of software tools. Because of these all things and because of the success, Dennis Ritchie and Ken Thompson were awarded the Turing Award, which was considered to be the Nobel Prize of Computing. It was given in 1983. Okay, now we will have a look at the free software movement. What is free software movement? So first I will explain you the concept of what is free software movement. For example, if you want to purchase any software, say QuickHeal, okay, then there are two types of QuickHeal available. First one is free QuickHeal, which will work for 1 month, which is known as trial version. Another version of QuickHeal is license version. License version you need to pay for it. 1000, 1200, 500, I don't know the price, but and it will last for 1 year. That means it is a paid version. Okay, so in operating system also it is like that way. In India, most of the people use a pirated version of Windows XP and Windows 7, Windows 10, right? Actually, that is not a free software. If you want to install that software, if you want to use that software, you need to purchase the software with the license code. You need to pay for it, right? So first, I hope the meaning of paid version or license version or proprietary version is clear, right? So now, free software movement means a movement which started to give away the software free of cost, to develop the software and to distribute it free of cost, not to charge anything for that. Around the early 1980s, Richard Stallman working at MIT, got increasingly frustrated by the various restrictions placed by the commercial software vendors on the use and the sharing of computer software. His vision for software was to provide all kinds of freedom to the users. He outlined four fundamental types of freedoms for the use of the software. This was his logo of a bull. So now we will have a look at the freedoms which he had outlined in his software. First freedom he calls freedom zero. Actually we start from 1, he started from 0. The freedom to run the program for any purpose. Now he considers it as a freedom. Obviously this freedom is given in all the software. Suppose if you want to use Microsoft Word, do you go to ask Bill Gates, hello Bill Gates, can I use that program? Yes or no? He will go mad. So this is just a what to say, hopeless thing. First freedom. Second thing, the freedom to study how the program works and change it so it does your computing as you wish. That means the access to the source code is a precondition for this. This freedom means that the source code of how the program, how the software, how the operating system software was written, that source code was available. You are able to see the source code. And due to that, you are able to study the source code, how it's written, how does it work, everything. And if you are a software designer, you can also make some changes. Okay, here is given and you can change it so it does your computer as you wish, but you will spoil your computer. This is not useful to all the users. The next freedom is the freedom to redistribute the copies so that you can help your neighbors. Since we are talking about the licensed version, now if you have got a licensed version software with you, you cannot give it to your neighbors. If you give the copy to your neighbor, he will require another license key. The same license key does not work here. This was a free software, so you can give it. Then the freedom to distribute the copies of your modified versions to others. These were the four fundamental freedoms outlined by Richard Stallman. Richard Stallman started the GNU project in 1983. We wanted GNU to be an Unix-like in its working, but completely free operating system. Now see, one more thing I would like to clarify here. In your textbook, it is given that Unix was a free operating system, but it is a wrong. Many of the things which is given in the textbook is wrong. I don't know the genius authors from where they have collected wrong information and given you. I have searched in Google, Unix was not a free operating system. So this person wanted GNU to be like Unix but completely free operating system. To show that GNU is not non-commercial, he chose the name GNU stands for GNU is not Unix. By free, he meant all the freedoms mentioned above. He started a free software foundation for developing GNU and other entirely free software projects. By 1990, he and his volunteers created most of the major components, including the compiler, shell, and library. But the core component, that is kernel, was not completed. Now you just try to understand how long it takes to design an operating system. He had started the work in 1983. Then he was not alone, so many volunteers also joined the project. Then also after 7 years also were already reached. Most of the things were ready, but the kernel was not yet ready. Later on, it used Hurd kernel and Linux kernel.
This is the language.